A little bit over a year ago, I started selling physical products using something called print on demand while working a full-time corporate job. I actually opened up my shop in July of 2023. I tried to initially create budget spreadsheets because I am an accountant and like using Excel. However, I did not get any sales with my budget spreadsheets, and they were taking me a really long time to make. So then I started learning about something called print on demand through YouTubers like Cassie Johnson and Simply Shauna. They were talking about how they had extremely successful Etsy stores using something called print on demand. And I decided that I wanted to try it too. If you aren't familiar with what print on demand is when you have an Etsy store. You sync your Etsy store with a print provider like Printify. You create the design for your product, and when a customer orders your product, your order then goes to your print provider, and your print provider prints the product for you, and then they ship it to your customer. So you never actually end up touching or seeing the physical final product that gets delivered to your customer. Using print on demand is extremely beneficial because you do not have to have money to buy upfront inventory, and you only are paying for inventory when a customer actually purchases your product. So this eliminates any type of entry barrier where you would have needed to have upfront cash in order to start your business. And in addition to eliminating that entry barrier, you also do not have to have the knowledge as far as how to use a print machine and how to print something properly, which will save you a lot of time as well. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kelly and I talk about different subjects including accounting, entrepreneurship, and personal finance. To set the stage, I am a full-time financial reporting manager. I do not spend a lot of time on my Etsy store, and actually even to this day, I only have about 200 listings in my store, which is not very many listings, especially when you compare my shop to other extremely successful Etsy shops. They typically do have anywhere from 1,000 to even 3,000 listings. But even that being said, even though I was not spending a lot of time in my Etsy store and I do not have that many items listed for sale, I was still able to get a surprising amount of sales, especially as a beginner shop. So let's get into those numbers. And in the end, I will share my grand total for the year and then how much revenue I have earned for the lifetime of my store. All right, so we're gonna start by looking at August because like I said, the first month when I opened my store was July 2023. However, I originally started with Excel spreadsheets, specifically related to budget spreadsheets, and I quickly pivoted because budget spreadsheets were taking an extremely long time to make and I didn't get any sales with budget spreadsheets anyways. So you can see in August, my first month doing print on demand, I actually was able to get 2 orders, which gave me a total revenue of $113. In my second month of having my Etsy store, I had 16 orders and I earned a total revenue of $915. So my store started to get noticed relatively quickly. And by my third month, I had 35 orders and I earned a revenue of $1,460. And also, my profit margin for my store is about 30%. For my fourth month, it was November, so it is Q4 at this point in time. And Etsy stores are starting to get busier with all the holiday shopping. In November, I had 62 orders and my total revenue was $3,172, which is awesome, especially considering I am still a brand new store. Then in December, I actually ended up getting 96 orders and my total revenue was $3,567, which is really cool. Once again, being a brand new store. And then in January, so this is my 6th month of having my Etsy store selling print on demand, I actually earned $7,219 in January, which is really impressive because January is typically considered a slow month. It's right after the holidays. People aren't really shopping as much as they were previously with Black Friday and for Christmas. And I had 178 orders. So the first 6 months of my store were extremely profitable for me, and I made a lot more money than I had originally anticipated. In total, I earned $16,450.86. And like I mentioned, my revenue is 30% of that. So I made approximately $5,000 in profit. I actually ended up with 2 bestsellers during this time frame, including one of my bestsellers being in the bridal niche, which is considered a lot more competitive, especially for a new store. So all that being said, in my opinion, if you are interested in starting an Etsy store, you should definitely go for it. However, the following 6 months were not as strong as my first 6 months. In total, from February to July of 2024, I ended up earning $12,224, which gave me a profit of about $4,000. Obviously, you are probably wondering what happened. How were you able to have such a successful first 6 months as a brand new Etsy store, and then 6 months later, your sales are beginning to plummet? Like, obviously something changed. The reason my sales drastically decreased though is because I was barely spending any time in my Etsy store. In the first 6 months of my Etsy store, I was listing new items. I was putting a lot of effort into researching trending designs and then making the listings. I ended up making the majority of my 200 listings in those first 6 months. But then once we got into February, I started getting extremely busy with my work schedule. Being a financial reporting manager, my job is to prepare my company's financial statements, and I did not put any time into my Etsy store whatsoever. That being said, even though I put very little time into my Etsy store, during those 6 months, I actually ended up getting 179 orders still and earning that $4,000 profit, making the grand total for my first year on Etsy being $28,675.72, which equated to a total profit of about $9,000. And the grand total for the lifetime of my Etsy store through December 20th, 2024 is $34,821. And then in total for the lifetime of my store, I have earned approximately $11,000. So if you want to open an Etsy store, you should definitely go for it. The market is not overly saturated for new stores and stores just opening. As you can see from my numbers, the more time and effort you put into your store, the more successful your store will be. My personal goal for 2025 is to take the time to research trending designs and listing more products. Ideally, I would like to have 1,000 listings in my store and be earning a minimum of $3,000 profit per month, which I think is 100% doable. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel if you are interested to see how my Etsy journey progresses.